What's going on, my friends and family? I want to talk today about how I'm preparing for economic depression, food in particular today. And I think that food is a very important part, if a lot of people don't think so. A Great Depression that happened in the 20s, I think. They had soup lines. There was a problem with food. And the thing I see is a problem with everything. I feel like a sitting duck, right? And instead of just sitting around with my hand out waiting to see what the government or my country's going to do for me, right? We got to try to figure out what we can do for ourselves first before we do anything for anything else. Take away food for a few days and see what happens with people. Watch them go completely berserk. So we've had fuel shortages. We've had shortages on everything. It's just we're sitting here in this system that's built. I think a lot of people don't understand as far as like grocery stores. There's only about 2 days worth of food, the saying goes. If just all trucks stopped coming in and there was no panic, right? Just people came in and started buying as usual. Within 2 days, the grocery stores would be empty. Now, we're not even talking about a catastrophe. So these are the type of things I look at that maybe we should think about regardless of what's going to happen, right? Whether there's a depression, a recession, whatever they want to call it, there's a catastrophe. We want to be prepared. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm just going to kind of go through these list of things here, guys. I'll need to know from you what you want to hear about if you want me to dissect each individual one. But I'm kind of giving you guys a bunch of stuff that I'm doing, this machinery that could actually streamline and help your life. Like, as I said, regardless whether things go bad, or they stay the same. So think about that as you listen to the show today. All of these different components I'm going to give you, they're not very complicated at all, right? And you can YouTube these things and start to study. I guess what happens with me is sometimes when I'm going to bed, I don't really watch TV and I love to learn. So I'll pick one thing like canning, right? And then I'll start to research, well, how do you can? Well, first of all, what's even cannable? Can you can pork? Can you can corn? Can you can hamburger, tuna? So I'll start with the first one, which is how my preps actually saved me money. So as far as what I'm doing is the same thing I've been doing for many, many years now, is just kind of being a minor prepper, not a huge prepper with, bunker houses and stuff like that. I don't do that sort of thing. At least not yet. It hasn't appealed to my wants and needs. But interesting is that I bought a bunch of food, stocking up. And big box stores, right? I did canned beans and stuff like that, canned meats. And what happened as the inflation started to rise, a lot of this food I bought, if I was to sell it now, I'd probably make double, if not triple, my money that I actually invested in. So it was almost like a secret investment, that like a ghost investment that I didn't even know was going to work. So the first one I have on here is gardening. One of the most simplest things that I think that people could do. And I do mean simple. I already know a lot of people say, well, I don't have the land. It's called spin farming. And it's exactly what I do right now. I don't have the land that most people have, right? Most like farmers and stuff like that. I don't own my own property, right? Not yet anyways. So what I've done is I put an ad on Facebook, and I'm going to run through this quickly, right? We're going to jump into all these things kind of like a fire thing here. What I did is put an ad up in Friends of Facebook. Find the town that you're living in. Tell them exactly what you want to do. You want to grow food on their property. In exchange, you'll pay the water bill and maintain a certain portion of the property, and you'll give them food. And I had multiple offers, guys. So spin farming, I did a whole show, I think, on it. You can just check that one out if you want to get into more details. But literally, guys, you do not need the land. And what better way to go and save seeds, start planting things, and getting yourself ahead without having to rely on a grocery store or anything like that. You're basically just growing a lot of your own stuff. My next one is very simple as sprouts. And what you can do is you get yourself a jar, a mason jar with a screw-on lid, and you buy yourself a bunch of sprouting seeds, or you can save your own like I do. And what you're going to do is you're going to fill this jar up with, say, about a quarter cup of seeds, and you're going to fill it up with water and let them soak for a little while, maybe about a day or so. It depends on which seeds that you're using and which part of the world you're on. And you're going to let them soak for a while, then you're going to rinse them. And these mason jars have a little tiny screw-on screen lid on the top that allows the seeds to stay in the jar, and you can also fill it up with water. You're going to shake this thing around, and you're going to keep pouring the water out. You're going to do this like twice a day for like 3, 4, 5 days, and you're going to leave the jar upside down, and what happens is all the water drains out, but the moisture, like a little aquarium, right? These seeds are stuck in that moisture, so they start to pop, and next thing you know, from that quarter cup, you actually expand it up to about 4 cups of sprouts. Moving forward, microgreens is the same thing. You do have a mold factor you have to be careful of, but they have these little plastic trays. You could do these in Tupperware, whatever. It's not really actually not that hard. Just basically get yourself about 1 inch of soil, drop in some seeds all over broadcast them evenly around the surface, spritz them all with water, right? Get them all nice and wet, the soil all nice and wet, and then you're going to stick another container on top of that. It's going to kind of basically compress the seeds and push them into the wet dirt. Every once in a while, you just need a little spray bottle, maybe once a day. Go in there, lift up the top lid Tupperware, spray off your seeds, put the lid back on, and eventually the seeds will actually pick up the Tupperware that's sitting on top. Once you remove that, you're going to have a bunch of microgreens. Basically, they could be yellow. Stick them somewhere near a light source and they'll turn green. And within 8 days to 14 days, you'll have a huge jungle afro of just yummy vegetables. Now, canning. Canning is another one. I think a lot of people think that it's a lot of work. And it is a lot of work if you're using a regular old canner, not an automated electric canner. You got to watch the temperatures and stuff like that. Basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the airtight chamber, up to a temperature and have it sustain that way for, say, like 25 minutes or something if you're doing like broth, right? The problem is if it's not automated and you have a gas stove or something, and it's blowing heat, you got to keep an eye on that pressure gauge and the temperature to make sure that everything's going to stay. You have to sit there and fluctuate, the flames. Whereas the automatic one, basically just plug it into the wall, fill your jars up, your mason jars half full of water, add about 2 to 3 inches of water inside your electric canner, stick your jars in, it'll actually heat everything up for you. You dump everything out, heat up your broth, let's just say, dump it in the jar, leave about 1 inch of headspace, screw your lid on hand tight, stick them all inside the pressure canner, push a button, and it'll literally beep when it's done. Pull them out, check the lids, make sure they're airtight, and you're good to go. So, canning, yeah. The thing is, what I want to say with the canning is that whenever you're cooking, you actually always want to cook more. So and you don't want to waste either, right? Let me see if I can remember to explain these two. If you're cooking chili beans, right, you can cook a heck of a lot more than what you need, about, say, like 4 quarts extra, which is the minimum, I believe, inside these electric canners, minimum 4 quarts to process at a time. You're going to fill these all up and then just can them. Literally within 30 minutes, right? That's not even full on hands-on. You've got yourself canned beans, canned chili, whatever. The other thing I do, instead of wasting things like this, the Thanksgiving we just had, was I told my family, they did 2 turkeys, and I was like, give me those bones. We stuck them in, smashed them all into a grocery bag, stuck them in the fridge. I brought them home, and then what you can do is you can boil these things or stick them in a, which I don't have here, is a thermal cookware. Look that up, thermal cookware. And get one that you can cook over fire. It's even better. But basically, it's like a giant thermos. So you can take these bones, break them, boil them for about 10, 15 minutes, and then let them sit there in this thermos to like basically bake, like cook, boil all night. It doesn't boil, it just sits in this hot water, and that gets all the marrow and stuff out of the bones. Well, instead of throwing that away, make yourself a bunch of broths. Next is my dehydrator. I haven't really used this one too much. I do have one of those, I think a 9 tray. I think it's an Excalibur. And doing fruits, same thing. If your bananas start to go bad, sun-dried tomatoes, like there's so many things that you can do, your herbs. If you don't want to go that route, do what I do is go pick all your, say like your peppermint and your mints, and just stick them in a paper bag. And put a little rubber band on the top, put them in a nice, cool, dry place. And just let the leaves just dry, and then pour them all out, and you've got yourself tea. Vacuum seal is a very, very big one. It's a chamber vacuum seal, and this thing is very, very important tool. I'm able to put this in conjunction with a freezer or the dehydrator. You can stick stuff in there. It sucks all the air out, and basically what you can do is you can keep stuff a lot longer than just sticking them in a Ziploc bag. So what I bought was actually a pressure vacuum sealer. And what it does is, normally you guys probably seen the ones where it's the machine, you fill up your bag and you put the tip of the bag, on the to the machine where it closes up. It's kind of hard to explain that. And it basically sucks like a vacuum. It's kind of like a vacuum cleaner. You're sticking the tip in there, it sucks all the air out and then seals it, right? But it doesn't get all the air out. Now, a chamber sealer is a kind that you flip your bag around with the food in it, put it in the chamber pressurizes, so it's pushing air out of the bag while the machine is sucking air out of the bag towards the outside, and it's got this double action. And so as far as keeping foods, and say soups you don't want to can, you just want to throw stuff in the freezer, by pressurizing them, by vacuum sealing them, they'll last a lot longer. The other thing I like about this chamber sealer is that you can actually put quart jars. You could put dry, like say sugar, salt, beans, rice, and stuff like that, and you leave your lid semi-loose. And what happens is the pressurization in the chamber sucks all the air out of the can and literally closes the can tight, so it's an airtight, kind of like Pringles, right? The potato chips, when you pop it off, it just keeps everything all nice and fresh. Freezer is probably by far the easiest one. If you don't want to do canning, you don't want to do vacuum sealing and all that, literally just make sure you guys label and date everything. And I'll tell you guys what I do. I do not put, it's just one little tip, one little easier step. Instead of putting December 25th, right, 2022, I just put 12/22. I know that it's been done in December and that it was in the year of 22, and I need to use it by, say, 2 years. So December of 24, the bag needs to get used up. But yeah, you can freeze milk, butter, cheese, a lot of your leftovers. Just put them in a mason jar. Again, leave that headspace so that it doesn't crack the jar. And that's basically a lot what I'm doing, guys, as far as food goes, is growing a lot of my own food, buying stuff that's in bulk, it's in cheap, that's on sale. And just stocking up on canning my own stuff, buying canned foods, and buying stuff that I already use. Not just just canned soups and stuff like that, just because. It's got to be something that I'm actually using. And I'll give you guys one last tip here is, you want to find stuff that's diverse. Like, one of the things I love is cream of mushroom, Campbell's cream of mushroom. I go to Costco or whatever, buy a big old case of this stuff. You can take that cream of mushroom and you can buy yourself some canned clams, and you can actually make your own clam chowder. I throw a can of tuna in there, mix it with a can of tuna, put some frozen cheese and some crackers, salt and pepper, and you've got yourself like a fish chowder. You can make just the cream of mushroom and put that on top of toast. It's still good. You can eat it just like itself. You could add potatoes to it. So it's very versatile and makes things fun. That's kind of cool, is when you have all of these canned foods and stuff that you're producing here, that you can interchange things together to make actually meals. All right, so I only got 3 weird ones left here: is alcohol, honey, and tobacco. Honey, for a lot of you guys who don't know, it's very satisfying. It's very healthy, especially raw honey. I buy it by the gallon at the Indian reservations where I live. And this stuff never goes bad, guys. It'll stay indefinitely forever. It's a good trading thing, just like alcohol and tobacco. If we did have a great depression, these are barter power. The honey I look at for myself is like, if sugar was a problem or something, or you just have like a bad catastrophe, having a bad day, just hand the kids a spoonful of honey and watch the smile grow on their face. But yeah, you can use tobacco and alcohol for mechanics work, for roofing work, I think there's a lot of people out there that would definitely want to barter for those type of things, and especially if it was scarce, and you couldn't find it anymore, and it doesn't go bad, guys. You can keep a bottle of alcohol forever. Buy yourself, I'll give you guys another tip with alcohol, is buy yourself a very strong vodka. And what you can do is, if you never used it and decided you wanted to get rid of it, is actually make your own disinfectant sprays. That's what I do. One of the components in there is vodka, along with soap, lemon oil, peroxide, white vinegar, water. You mix all these together and you got yourself a disinfectant soap. All right, guys, that's the show. I'm getting over being sick, so my voice is all messed up, but I hope that helps out. You guys email me. There's a link in the bottom. There's an email there if you guys want to hear about stuff specifically. Maybe I could just do a whole entire show on, say, canning, say, and sprouts and stuff like that. So let me know, guys. That's what I'm here for. See you guys later.